And now there's this. The FBI warns that criminals are increasingly using drones for all kinds of purposes, including surveillance. Joining us now is Brett Velicovich. He is the author of the book, The Drone Warrior. All right, Brett, you know, obviously you've been upfront about this whole drones thing, but now people are saying there's an opposite side to this story and that criminals are using these drones as well.
Well, exactly. And good morning, Charles. You know, drones are the future, and the future is now, apparently. I think we're just lucky that the criminals can't get their hands on the ones with the missiles just yet. But in this particular case, we had FBI suspects who were part of an organized criminal gang that had drones ready and in preparation for an FBI hostage rescue attempt that was taking place at their location. And so not only did they use these drones to swarm these agents and disrupt their operation, but by flying essentially these low, high-speed passes to try and harm them, but they also live streamed the video from the drones to YouTube so other members of their organization could see where these FBI agents were located. So imagine having this swarm of bees attacking you, except for these bees are the size of basketballs, and if they hit you in the head, they're definitely going to leave a scar. And so this is just one more incident in a long line of cases here where law enforcement is starting to see this technology being used in a different way, and it's becoming a serious problem for them.
What do you think? How do you counter that? I mean, is there some sort of do you have to develop jamming mechanisms, counter drones? I mean, how do you? Because it seems frightening the way you laid that out.
Well, that's the right question there. And I think to answer that question, you really have to understand the scope of what we're dealing with here. You know, that was a very unique case, but criminals are using these in all kinds of ways. We've had drug smugglers that are using them to drop contraband in prisons. We've got illegal immigrants using them to cross our borders. Just in the last month, we even had an incident where $80 million worth of iPhones were smuggled from Hong Kong over to mainland China using these things. Criminal gangs are also using them to surveil targets and intimidate witnesses and to fly over police stations to see who's coming in and out of there. But what's happening right now is there is this ecosystem in Silicon Valley where these private sector companies are developing what we call counter UAS solutions, and that's jamming systems, that's guns, that's being able to take these drones over in the sky. But really, you know, the problem is they need more money, and on top of that, the regulations right now are something that they're dealing with because the technology solutions here are a direct, can disrupt our telecommunications, problems. So maybe
we're making headways in that area. But stay right there, Brett, because I want to bring in Susan Lee. Susan, the feds are teaming up now with several cities and businesses now, and they're conducting these sort of drone exercises or experiments.
Right. So there are productive ways to use drones as well. And we're going to hear about the winners, these 10 governments, state, local, tribal, that will be part of this drone testing program from the Transportation Secretary, Elaine Chao. And this is a way to encourage innovation, but also to regulate safe use of airspace and drones for the future. So 200 companies, and these are the biggest of the big. I probably am naming some obvious ones like Apple and Amazon that probably want to test package delivery here in the U.S., but then Qualcomm is also involved as well. They want to test connectivity in some of these locations so you can get better Wi-Fi in parts of the country with AT&T and Verizon. They also have Boeing and Airbus coming in as well, so they can test better use and safe use of lower flying airspace. And then Ford is involved as well. We also have Intel. So there are productive ways to use drones. And adoption, by the way, is up some 40% in 2017. 40%, over 3.5 million drones sold last year. So the future is here. People are buying them. Adoption is happening, but you want to regulate them and probably test them in a safe way that it benefits everybody.
But the criticism also has been, though, we don't want to layer regulations on so thick that that the evolution of these things are slowed down, because, I mean, the genesis is here in America, and we want to make sure we keep this technology growing. I mean, Amazon doesn't seem to care. In my mind, Amazon, the way they're going at breakneck speed with this, they seem to anticipate the government really breaking down and allowing mass use of drones.
They're already testing package delivery in the UK. So it takes 13 minutes from click to delivery, so you can get your toilet paper faster.
Oh, don't tell my wife that.
Yes, but we're behind already, behind the rest of the world. I mean, India has already been testing this for many years. China, one of the largest drone makers in the world. Iceland is testing food delivery.
Yeah, they don't have to worry about a lot of skyscrapers.
Well, they had to go to the UK because the FAA wouldn't allow them to do it. So, you know,
crazy. But it will come here. Let me ask Brett one more time, Velicovich. Brett, Your reaction, I know that you've spent time and you've talked to the White House about these things. I know we understand regulations, but this is really amazing stuff. And to your point, we want to keep ahead of the curve for the good guys as well.
Right. No, I love this. I mean, this is so important. I mean, the fact is right now there is a drone race happening. You might not be able to walk outside and see drones in the skies, but all around the world, these countries are competing here, and we are losing. I mean, she's right. We've had this massive adoption, but what you don't realize is that the 3.5 million drones sold in the U.S. last year alone, 90% of those were sold by Chinese manufacturers. And so we are dealing with a situation here where we are losing that race, and I love to see this new initiative by the White House, the Department of Transportation, the FAA, which really kudos to the White House because they're the ones that are the CTO office in there. They're the ones driving this. And so this is a fantastic thing. But at the same time, we're still behind. But we really need our own companies, our private sector to help out here. And that's what this initiative does, is it brings government working with the private sector technology to help innovate.
It's an ideal situation.
Right.
Thank you both very much, Susan and Brett.